Anime Adventures, Anime Last Stand, Anime Guardians, Anime Vanguards, Anime Defenders, Anime World Tower Defense, Universal Tower Defense, Anime Crusaders, Anime Rangers X. Heck, even SpongeBob Tower Defense would not exist without their godfather, All-Star Tower Defense. These games wouldn't have even been thought up if AWTD didn't exist. Tower defense games as a whole would continue to be made, of course. But anime tower defense games, that genre, this community, would not ever have been created under any circumstance without AWTD to start it all. Every update, AWTD had brought in thousands of players. Even when first starting out as a smaller game, their updates were still putting them on the map. Hundreds, if not thousands of people, me included, would stay up late every night, way beyond their bedtimes, just to be the first person to summon on the new units from the banner and test them out. There wasn't even a grind or game mode to macro at the time. It was just playing infinite for damage task and spending those games away like nothing else mattered whenever you finish up Snake Way. And that was the beauty of All-Star Tower Defense. It didn't need to do anything crazy or new to set itself apart. Its very existence was creative and beyond anything most games had out at the time. Every update had brought in new strategies for leaderboard, new 5 stars or 6 stars to evolve, and sometimes even special seasonal game modes with their own twist on things. For example, the Halloween game mode. There were no expectations or competitors at the time, but even then, the game continued to push itself and be better with every update. And to me personally, it was one of, if not the best time of my life playing that game with one of my closest friends at the time. Playing every new update with my friend, as I just said, testing out all the new units, experimenting with what teams work best in infinite mode, praying that each run we would somehow get up to the top 30 even though we were using the most non-meta teams imaginable, just whatever looked fun. Testing ourselves in Snake Way. It was just obtaining all of the trophy characters as well. Even though they weren't all that great, sometimes they still felt rewarding to get though. You can call it all nostalgia, but you cannot look back on All-Star Tower Defense and say that for the time of its prime, that it was garbage. Because it simply wasn't, and if you think so, you're new gen and you do not know anything. In fact, it took over an entire year and a half for its main competitor, Anime Adventures, to release, and even after that game came out, AWTD still pushed itself even further by dropping their best update of all time, in my opinion, World 2. The new map, new summon animations, the units, all of it was beautiful and amazing. The build up to the update was spanning over the game's entire lifespan, with Snake Way gradually growing and leading up to its inevitable release. It was magnificent. It was literally the equivalent of Avengers Endgame type of build up. Infinity War, Endgame, everything coming together. But that's just enough yapping right now, straight about AWTD and its history. Let's get into the real meat of what I plan on covering in this video. That being how AWTD led to the creation of every anime tower defense game that came after it. Now, the first one that obviously succeeded after AWTD is widely known and the most obvious answer. That being Anime Adventures. It took nearly every aspect, besides a few, of AWTD and simply graphics scaled it up and added some gambling aspects onto it, the trade rules. But I already made an entire video covering AA not that long ago, so I'm not going to talk about it too much here. Go check it out if you haven't already. I posted it like literally 2 days ago. So if you want my actual full thoughts on Anime Adventures, go for that. But I'm not going to talk about it much here because that would just be regurgitation. I'd be no different from Brandon the Boss. Now, the next main game that I really want to talk about that released was surprisingly AWTD, Anime World Tower Defense. If you believe it or not, but it's weird to say, the game is nearly 4 years old. It came out in 2022. The same principle still applies here as well, though. If anything, AWTD, I'm stumbling my words a little bit here, sorry. If AWTD was considered the follower or the main successor, I should say, of ASTD. That's what it would be. It didn't have any trait rerolls like AA did for a very large portion of the game's lifespan. Eventually they did add them, but most of the units were also just gained through the banner, with the main focus being to evolve those units and climb the leaderboards, just like OG ASTD. It is uncannily accurate to what it was before. It would just had its own feel to it. It was different. Even then, they still have the same acronym as well. AWTD and ASTD, literally just one letter apart. It's pretty uncannily weird. Call it copying, but I still think AWTD did their own things in their own way. But sadly, we all know the tragedy of AWTD and the history that follows. But hopefully someday, Stark-A can rehire Galaxy, or it can kick Stark-A off the team, bring Galaxy back, and just make the game better than it once was. Seriously, it needs it above everything else. I think it is one of the most deserving games for it. Anime Last Stand, the non-impressive game that it currently is, was originally started by one of the largest ASTD YouTubers at the time, Blamspot, as many of you know. He very obviously took heavy reference from ASTD, as well as some from AA as well, with the trait rerolls and the challenges that he had players doing for God knows how long. Sadly, though, once he lost the custody battle for the game and Brandon got his hands on it, it ended up straying so far from ASTD into the hellish circles of greed. It's not even funny. OG All-Star Tower Defense, not ASTDX, had never gone and wasted its players' time like ALS does every single time it updates. Say what you will, but back then, ASTD has held its players to a high enough standard that they never suck out their time. It didn't try and completely ruin their brains. It actually tried to make things fun. Simply, it just can't. But with how things are now, though, with ASTDX, I sound like an idiot for saying it. But we'll get to that another time. But then we're going to get to the big two kahunas of the ATD genre that had their releases as well. AV, being the most notable one and the biggest one currently of all time, had the best parts of every tower defense game, which all got their ideas and gameplay from ASTD, and made the highest quality and put together game on Roblox at the time that worked, had its own passives. It did everything right when it released. Not going to talk about the rest of its lifespan. It's had some differences and stuff, but it followed the same principle. Truly, it did. But Anime Defenders also released around the same time as Anime Vanguards. However, I'm not really going to say much about that game because, personally speaking, when it comes to Anime Defenders, I never really played it. I never delved into it. I never put time into it. It was just simply a game I did not like to play, mainly because the models were actually horse garbage. But other than that, the game is heavily inspired from All-Star Tower Defense, as all of these games are. But are you guys starting to understand what I'm getting at? I'm not just glazing ASTD purely because of the nostalgia bait that it has, but because it was a generational game that set the footholds for every single game that came after in the ATD genre. Dude, as I said before, there would not be an anime tower defense genre if it wasn't for All-Star Tower Defense. None of these games, none of these communities would ever exist without it. The games coming out soon, the games that are trying to be the next best thing, would not exist without ASTD. Some of y'all glaze AV, some of y'all glaze ALS. No idea how you do, though. Some of y'all glaze Anime Crusaders, too, which is a game I didn't mention in this video, but, it's very forgettable. It's not even worth talking about. But whether it's glaze or not, the true facts are there. And any of you new gens who think otherwise, that ASTD isn't the most influential game of all time, you need to go build a time machine, go play through every update. I want you to be there for it. Past me will need your confirmation. Send me a DM that you were there. Then you can come back and comment, and if you really think it's garbage, go for it. But otherwise, if you were not there for it, I don't want to hear a word, bro. It was unobtainable beauty. Simple as it was, bro. And one final note before I end the video. I stand by the fact. Dude, this sounds like I really make this sound like I'm reading off a script, bro. Why did I write it like this? But I do stand by the fact that All-Star Tower Defense, not ASTDX, is the best anime tower defense game to ever release. I don't believe any other game, no matter what it is, no matter what can be made, nothing can top OG ASTD. The feeling and atmosphere is simply unbeatable. No matter what you make or how good of something you make, you can't beat it. You can have the most incredible Roblox breaking game of all times, even when it comes to tower defense games. But just know that no matter what, you would never, ever be where you are or where you end up without ASTD to give birth to you. And that's straight up the truth. Now, guys, we're at the end of the video here. But I do want to say I will be doing probably a different video talking purely about ASTDX and the horrible greed that entire game was. This entire video is not in reference to ASTDX at all. I'm looking purely at OG ASTD through and through, how the game evolved and how it eventually ended and became ASTDX, okay? The point still stands. It was the godfather of everything, in my opinion, all right? So, I don't want to see anyone talking like, but ASTDX. I'm not talking about it in this video. I'm not referencing it at all. That game is garbage and the worst of its generation and ever will be. Okay? Just want to make that clear. Otherwise, I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day, night, evening. Good morning, good evening, good night. You know what I mean. Join up in the Discord if you guys haven't already. It's down in the description below. Do a ton of cool giveaways. They were doing a Bizarre Lineage early access giveaway for the next 3 days. So if you want to win 3 spots, one of 3 spots, go in there, try to win it. You got a pretty good chance. Also, if you guys want, you can like, subscribe. It's up to you, though. I'm not going to force anyone to do it, not like I can anyway. I just hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's good enough for me. So, I'll see y'all, I guess, tomorrow when I post another one. Another vid. Not you know what I mean.